Well, good afternoon, everybody. I've got a few seconds before 1 o'clock, so give a few more seconds before we get started here. Want to be respectful with everyone's time, but of course, want to also make sure we give everybody a chance to join. All right. All right. So let's see here. I've got 1 p.m. on the dot. All right. So thank you again for joining me. My name is Cesar Rivas. I am the sales executive for Sound POS here at Sound Payments. And today we're going to be doing your monthly merchant training. All right, so couple of housekeeping items here. The purpose of this session really is for you to learn how to operate the POS and also the web portal. It's not so much to configure your POS, even though there's going to be some configuration contents, your initial configuration contents. We don't really go deep into that. It's going to be mostly operating how to operate the POS, all right, and all the functions that we have and so forth. All right. Please write, there's a section, the Q&A section. Please write any questions that you have there, and I'll respond all the questions, of course, at the end of the session. Normally this session can run, around 90 minutes, maybe a little over an hour. It's gone up to 2 hours, but normally at the 1 hour break, I'll give a 5-minute session break. This way you can get up and stretch your legs and so forth. But this session, just like every past training session, has been recorded. It's on our YouTube channel, Sound Payments. I'd really encourage you that we've got a ton of material on there. We have some short videos also for specific functions, prior trainings and things like that. But also want to share with you guys the following, all right? So of course you've got 24/7 tech support, which is available for you on the phone or via email. You've got the phone number right there. You've got this training class that we're doing right now. You also have, of course, your Sound POS user guide and your what would be your Sound POS user guide as well. All right. These are all the dates in case you want to take this training over again or have somebody else who maybe is going to start operating the POS in the future. These are available again, usually on the second Wednesday of every month. You'll see the dates there. First Wednesday of every month, usually. Actually, this year we started today because of the holiday. All right. All right. So a couple of things that we first want to start with, and this is the agenda. We're going to look at the system components, both on the hardware side and also on the software side. We'll look at, as I said, some initial configurations and then looking at some functions. We'll look at how you can manage your discounting and pricing. Not everyone maybe is going to be utilizing your customer database, but we'll go over that. And I think it's important that if you're not utilizing it, know how it works, because it could be something applicable and advantageous for you to start utilizing it. It's included, obviously, with the POS. We'll be looking, of course, at some reports as well, both on the POS and on the terminal, and then the sales screen itself. Today is kind of a special training session as well, because we're going to be introducing several new features. Some of these features are going to be built in. Some of them are going to be as an additional feature, so they'll come at an additional price. All right, so I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. All right, so first thing I want to take a look at then is your system components, right? On the terminal side, you should have something. You see here on the upper right-hand side. This is one of the many terminals, but you should have an operator screen. If you have a countertop unit with a payment terminal, usually it's attached on the back-end side, depending on which model of the unit you have. Again, if you have a countertop unit, usually it's just a single screen for all your devices. Normally, these units come with a built-in printer. There's only one handheld unit that we advertise that does not have a built-in printer. So they all usually come with a built-in printer. Of course, they have the credit card slots to take magstripe, your EMV chip. Tap and Pay should also be compatible with that. Your Apple Pay, your Google Pay, Samsung Pay, those are all usually included with our terminals on the hardware side. On the software side, you should have, of course, the software that's loaded on the terminal, which is Sound POS. But then you also should have the web portal, which is where you can configure on a computer, on a tablet, on a laptop, on any device that can support a browser. You'll be able to actually access the web portal. You can do your configuration, modification, things like that. look at your reports, kind of a, remote management type of a situation. All right, so let's take a look first of all at your initial configuration. And what I'll do throughout the presentation is I'm going to be switching back and forth between what would be the web portal and the actual screen of the POS. So you'll be able to see that. So let me log in. For security purposes, sometimes I'll be logged out and I'll take a couple of minutes to log back in. The system will kick me out if I'm not constantly using it. So let me log into my store here and show you where you would do your initial configuration. And the first component of that initial configuration I want to talk about is your taxes. So this should be your web portal, what you would see when you first open up your web portal. You should have received your credentials. Normally it's your username is your email address, and then your password. You can just say forgot password to reset it. But you would go here under taxes, and the taxes are made up of two components. You actually have the tax rates, which would be, your local, state, federal, any special tax rates and things like that. So these are listed here, and I've got 4 different tax rates. And then what you're going to do is you're going to group those tax rates into tax categories. And it's the actual tax category, which is what you're going to assign to the product. And this is done at the individual product level. So you can have, different tax categories with different products, and there's no limitations. So to give you an example here, your standard tax category includes your local state tax, your local sales tax, and your state sales tax. And our system allows you, if you wanted to change the order in which these taxes are charged, and if you even want to charge on the previous tax amount, it's all going to depend on whatever your local state requirements are when it comes to taxes. So I've got some products that are assigned to the standard. Of course, all my cigarettes and tobacco products are assigned to the tobacco group or category of taxes, which includes not only my local and my state, but also includes my tobacco tax. And I don't have it set for it to tax on the previous tax amount, right? So that would be how you would set up your local tax rates on the actual, 1 second here, on the actual web portal. What I want to do now is I want to go back, 1 second, I have to log in here. I want to go into the terminal and show you how you can set up the same tax rates, same categories, but on the terminal. All right, because again, our system will give you the option to do it both ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. Because I'm traveling this week, I'm actually using a handheld device, the A77. Now, as you've probably heard before, our handheld version of the POS is the same as our countertop version. So there is no watered down. Everything that you could do on your handheld, you'll be able to do on your countertop as well. All right, so let me share the screen. I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can see it a little better. And it may look arranged. If you don't have a handheld unit, if you only have a countertop unit, it may look, that it's arranged a little differently. And it's because, as you can see, the screen is narrow, right? So it's not a horizontal view, right? Not landscape here. So that's why it's organized a little bit differently on here. But if you wanted to arrange your taxes here on the terminal, it's going to be under inventory. You have the same 2 functions. Under taxes is where you would find your tax rates, right? Same rates that you saw on the web portal. And then here's where under tax categories is where you group those rates. So again, if I go to the tobacco one, it'll have again active the 3 tax rates that you saw on the web portal, right? Let me see here. Let me make sure that everything's in order. Okay, great. So that's how you would set up your taxes, right? Next item would be how you set up your employee roles. Now, a situation where it's only, it's a family business and you're not keeping track of inventory that much, or there's no risk in thefts or things being lost or misplaced and things like that, you may not need to create different profiles for different employees or for different operators, because everyone will have access to all the functions. But in some instances, you may want to create some restrictions to some of the operators. Now, I'm going to show you again on both the POS and on the web portal how you do that. On the POS, you're going to go to the maintenance function, and you're going to see that you got a roles function in there. Okay, this is where you can create. I already have all of these roles created, and I can add a new one if I wanted to here. put whatever name on here. Now, I like the way that this is organized on the terminal because all your sales functions are going to be listed under this basic tab, and all the backend stuff is going to be listed under the authority tab. So here you can, kind of drop down or dig deeper for each one of these as far as what they can have in terms of functionalities. So once you create, whatever functions or restrictions you want to create on here, you save it, and then you go into the user screen, and that's where you're going to add your employees, put their names on there. The system is going to automatically generate a user ID. It's going to be numerical. It's going to start with 0001, which is your admin, of course, and then go up from there. It's not going to be manually generated. But what you can do is, of course, put the name. You're going to choose your role. The date of birth is optional, but if you do have any restricted age products in your store, a date of birth here. Otherwise, that operator is going to need an override from somebody who is old enough to sell, right? This is if you want to, disable somebody but not delete them from your database. And then this is optional. You can require them to clock in before they have access to the POS functions, or not. And all of our terminals usually come with a camera, so you can even take a picture of your employee to have it on there for any type of identification purposes. Our system does generate a barcode for employees. So if you're using a scanner, it is a lot easier to log in when you're using it with a barcode, right? All right, so that's how you would create the profile and then add the employee on the terminal. Now let's go to the store here. And on the store, you're going to go under POS. You're going to go to employee maintenance, and you have the same function. POS user role, sorry. Let me pop this out. POS user roles. So here I've got all the different roles. It's kind of the same thing, but like I mentioned, see, the layout is not the same. Where over there you've got two simple tabs. I think over here you've got a little bit more cumbersome detail. So, but same thing. You choose which functions you want to restrict, which functions you want to give access to. And once you create the user role, then you've got your employees here. Now, on the web portal, of course, you also have the, your time card information. You can export your time card here. It does have a time card feature, which keeps track of your employees' hours worked. Sorry, lost track of train of thought there. But on here, you can actually export then in Excel the hours that are worked. And, the Excel is going to be compatible with pretty much any payment processor software on here. But you have all the same other, information on here. You can also print, if you want to print all your barcodes, you can just generate a PDF with all of your employees' barcodes. All right. All right. So that's how you would do your user on here. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is your receipt configuration. This one I would probably recommend doing it more here on the terminal than on the web portal than on the terminal, simply because you can actually add a logo to your receipts, and it's a little easier to upload a logo on the computer, obviously, than it's going to be on the terminal. All right, so this is where you would do your configuration. Second here. All right, so you can upload your logo. You got to be careful with your how the size of the file that you're going to upload. I believe 1 megabyte is the limit. Okay, for the receipt, you can upload color, but it doesn't make any difference. It's going to use the thermal printer that's built into the terminal, so they won't be able to see color anyway. So it's best to be converted into black and white, preferably no grayscale, since the thermal printer only really prints black and white. That way it'll be clearer. You can also add your headers and choose what alignment for your headers, and you have as many headers as you want, as many footers as you want as well. A couple of things in terms of configuration, central section here. Okay. You can receive tips with our system. You can actually configure it to receive tips. There's two ways that our system will accept the tips. One is at the time of purchase, you can configure it so that the actual payment terminal or the payment screen will display the tip. Normally, you can put 3 choices in there by percentage or by dollar amount, and then a 4th choice where they can input manually the tip. And the other option is that obviously the tip prints on the receipt, and then the customer fills in the tip there. For the first option, where they're going to choose a tip directly on the screen, you should disable the tip line on the terminal on the paper, right? Because there's no the customer, it'll actually print the tip already on the receipt, so there's no additional blank line necessary. And then, of course, the other thing is that if you're going to do the tip on the terminal, you don't need to adjust tips at the end of the day. They should already be assigned for each one of the transactions. Now, if you're going to do tips on the paper, then you want to make sure that you do activate tips on, adjusting tips at the end of the day on the terminal. And then you also activate, or rather deactivate the tips being accepted on the screen. So let me show you that real quick, because I think it's really important. As I said, it's gonna kick me out every once in a while. Let me show you that. I think this is really critical, where you're gonna configure that, okay, on the terminal. Okay, 1 second here while it invites me again. Okay. So on the terminal, you're gonna go to settings. Zoom in again. You're gonna go to settings and configuration, okay? So, all right, settings and then configuration. Now, again, if you have a countertop unit, you're gonna see 2 rows of information. This one just has 1 row, right? If you're gonna set the tips on the customer display, then you gotta make sure that use customer display is on and show tip options on customer display is on as well. And then you wanna make sure that at tips at the end of the day is disabled. Okay, again, because it's already being added per transaction. If you want to do the tips on the actual receipt, if you're going to activate this so that the tip line prints on the receipt and then the customer fills in the tip manually, all right, you want to make sure that you disable the show tip options on customer display and you enable at tips at the end of the day. All right, just thought it was important for me to point that one out. Okay. All right. You can choose also, the size of your font. You want to print the barcode and so forth. So that's how you would configure your receipts on the terminal on the web portal. Now, if you want to do it on the terminal, you can do it as well. Okay. And let's go back to the terminal here. We're going to be in the same settings section here, and you're going to see that there's a receipt setup option here. And like I said, the only tricky part here is if you want to upload a logo, but it's kind of all the same settings. It's going to be presented differently on your countertop terminal than on this handheld unit. But again, you'll be able to do it either here or on the web portal that I showed you. Okay. All right. So we arrived to a pretty big component of the training today, which is the categories or the catalog rather. Okay, where you got your inventory. All right. So a couple of things we want to do here. All right, so first of all, if hopefully you've already gotten your inventory uploaded. If you have not, you can use a template to upload your inventory. Okay, you've got a simple template and you've got a complex template. Simple one is going to be your products. Complex is going to be the same products, but if you want to also add attributes, which are unique features, like for example, size and flavor, and then the combination of the size and the flavor. Those would be the attributes, all right? If you do already have a file, whether it's Excel or comma separated value file, we can create a mapping template, reach out to your processor and they should be able to contact us, or you can call the 1-800 line or email, and then we can create the mapping template for you. That's in case that you have not uploaded your inventory first and foremost, all right? Also, the way that you can set up your menus, your sales menus, I want to highlight a couple of things on here. In the past, we talked about utilizing your attributes whenever you have a type of merchandise that has many options. And I'll give you an example. Vape pens is probably the most vivid example that comes to mind, where normally you've got 10, 15, 20 different brands, and then each brand comes in multiple sizes and the combination of those sizes and flavors. So if you've got, again, 10 vape pen brands and each one has maybe 5 combinations or more, usually 10 combinations, then again, you're looking at 100 items you need to input. With us, you can utilize what would be the attribute, okay? And let me pull up an actual vape pen so you can see it here. You can use the attribute to actually only add the main brand, and then under that main item, like here, you add the actual combinations of the size and the flavor. See, so here we are tracking inventory by product attributes, and we're not only tracking inventory by product attributes, we're also tracking or providing pricing by product attributes. So in this case, you have one entry for the vape pen, right? And you got two different sizes, 2 ounce and 4 ounce, and you got 4 different flavors. And as you combine these sizes and flavors, you're going to get the different number of items that you have in your inventory. You can even determine the pricing for each one of these and establish a minimum threshold, okay? If you do have a different barcode for each combination, then you would also see that, all right? So let me give you an example of how that will look on the terminal, right? So let's say that, we're gonna go to cigarettes. Okay, let's say that you saw the vape pen and I don't actually have a barcode for each combination of flavor. All right, I'm gonna switch over to, I got a barcode sheet over here. I'm gonna actually use the scanner on here. All right, so in this case, I'm gonna scan the barcode, whatever product they bring, a combination of product and flavor, I'm gonna scan it, okay? And because I don't have a barcode for that particular product and flavor, it's gonna prompt me. So let me scan first. All right, let's go back here. Well, first of all, it's gonna prompt me for obviously an ID, and that's also one of the new features. This is an add-on, so this would have an extra price. Now we also have ID scanner. So let me go back to my barcode page, and I'm gonna scan an ID for somebody who's underage, so you can see what happens. Oh, make sure I got the right one here. All right. Oh, wait, I didn't scan it. Should I scan it here? Let me zoom in. Sorry, because it's on the computer. Let me just best I can scan that. No, it tested it before. Oh, there you go. So what happens? This is an underage one, right? So it's going to prompt you and say, "Hey, this person is not old enough to buy this." So submit a different ID. Gives you back to the screen. Now we're going to actually submit a valid ID here, the one on the top. There you go. Scans it. And now we can actually, well, actually I submitted the same one, but submit a different ID. Okay, scanned it. Okay, and now we can go ahead and submit 2003. Now it's going to give me this option, right? Because this vape pen does not have a barcode for each combination, I need to choose the combination manually. So here is a grape 2 ounce, which I've got 20 available and it costs $10.99. Here's a bubblegum 2 ounce, I've only got 18 available and it costs $13.99. So whenever I choose my option, and again, this is a handheld, so I need to toggle back and forth to the shopping cart, then it'll populate on here. But if I have an item that has that does have the flavor registered, okay, like in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and scan it here, and that's gonna automatically just add it to the shopping cart because I do have a barcode for this combination here, okay. So that's a little bit old school. I mean, this has already been available on our POS for a while. Maybe it hasn't been taken that much advantage of. But we do have a new feature that I want to mention now, all right, which is the breakdown and packaging. For that, I'm going to go over to alcohol beverages to show you that. Okay. So this is a really good feature for when you want to, break down let's say a 6-pack. Okay. So we're going to go to Budweiser. This is the individual Budweiser, right? It's got a barcode. And then you can create the actual packages that it comes with, maybe the case or the 6-pack, right? Now, these don't have a barcode, as you can see. So what happens is when you create these packages on the system, let's go back over here and let's go to alcohol. Okay. There we go. When you create these packages, it does add, Budweiser beer case, Budweiser beer, Budweiser beer 6-pack, it adds it as a product, okay? But if you are using a scanner, let me show you here for the Budweiser. That's it, okay? If you are using a scanner, because they only have a single barcode for all three, then it's gonna prompt me, hey, which one are you actually rigging up? Are you rigging up, the single, the 6-pack, or the case, all right? You ring up whatever And then what happens is, the other thing that I want to show you here is when you create these packages, you're going to be able to see at a glance how many items you've got set up as a single and how many items you actually have total. Okay, if you were to break down the packages. Like right now, I don't have any cases on here. I only have 2 6-packs, which should be 12 units, right? If I were to break it down, and I already have 46 units that are broken down into singles, so that gives me a total of 58. All right, that's one of the newer features that we also have on here. Okay, since again we're in products and talking about new features, I want to show you another feature. Okay, and this is something that normally is utilized for maybe things like adding modifiers without having to prompt. And a bottle deposit is a really good example of a modifier that you would add without having to prompt. Okay, so for example here, for this Pepsi bottle, I wanted to add this 5-cent bottle deposit every time that I ring up the Pepsi bottle without prompting me and without me having to hit any other buttons. So that's the way that I set up, right? I create the actual modifier right here. Okay, let me go to all. Just look at the modifiers. Okay, so you can see that 5-cent modifier here. Okay, bottle deposit 5 cents. This is what that configuration would look like. You're gonna set it up. It can be tax exempt if you wanted to. Some states will make it tax exempt, all right? And it can also be discount not charge exempt. But you're gonna create, whatever it is, the bottle deposit 5 cents. You can put it in a category bottle deposit. You put a price on there. And then you can choose whether to prompt or not. And if you choose do not prompt, you tell it how many of these items are going to preload to that category or to that product. All right. So the way that it looks on here, and log that again. The way that it looks on here then is that it's not going to prompt you to add that bottle deposit to the item. Okay, so let me go ahead and share the screen. Okay. And I'll go over another, few of the other fields in that product screen. All right. So here we go to beverages now, where you got that that Pepsi bottle, right? If I tap on it, it's gonna add it to the shopping cart. Let me go to the shopping cart, and you're gonna see the Pepsi bottle and the bottle deposit added already. Okay. This can also be used for food. Okay, a good example is, for example, hot dogs. Now, in our system, I've got this set. Let's go ahead and look for served food. Okay. So for the hot dogs, right, when I choose hot dog on here, okay, these are the toppings that it comes with. These are the additional ones. This is the first one, right? So I can add relish at no cost, add chili for 50 cents. I want to hold the ketchup, just leave the mustard on there. But when I look at the actual order, I have a sausage and a bun in there because that's how I'm keeping track of inventory. Keeping track of inventory by the sausage and the bun. So it automatically will add it to the item. Okay. You can use this in various ways. Oh, sorry, let me go back. You can use this in various ways. I've recently added a tires category here. Okay. I forgot to add to change the items at tires. I actually still have them in the gift shop. Okay. So you may actually have, for example, if you sell an item and it automatically adds a fee, like the 5 cent, maybe an installation fee or something like that. So you can actually, choose a tire, like what have I got here? Tire with added service. And again, I just added that tire. We go back over here and you got balancing fee, okay, for $15 automatically. Okay. So again, you got a lot of different applications for those for those features, both in the breakdown and the adding of automatically of the modifier. Okay, and as well as the attributes for keeping track of inventory. But as I said, that's one that has been around for a little bit. Okay, all right. So let's go back to setting up your inventory in terms of products. Right. Our system obviously does support having categories. And especially if you're not going to be using a scanner, you may want to use the categories to easily be able to locate different products on your sales screen. A little bit, you can have a description on here. It's really more for your reference than anything else. You have two fields for barcodes if you want. You can utilize both of these. The product vendor field right now, it's not something we're utilizing, but we will have a product vendor field at some point in time. You can do sell by weight. And we recently added an integrated scale. Again, it's another add-on service that we're offering. So you actually can add something on there. You can choose to have the item disabled without deleting it from inventory. This is great for seasonal items or maybe items that you run out of inventory, but you don't want to delete because you're gonna, restock. Or you can have items that maybe are enabled in the POS but are not shown on the sales menu, like ingredients, for example. Maybe the sausage and the bun is not on the sales menu, but it's enabled on the POS because you're adding it to the hot dog, right? And then EBT, you're gonna add EBT at the individual product level. You want to make sure that you're compliant with whatever local laws and regulation is required for EBT in terms of what products qualify for EBT. So make sure you're clear on that, because again, you're going to be the one who's going to be activating it by product. Okay. You can, if you do have dual pricing activated, it's going to tell you which input price you've chosen, whether it's going to be the cash or the credit price on there. You can input the price here, or you can even input the price with taxes. So let me get out of this screen, which is not a good product example. Let's go over here. Let's go to all. Let's go to one of these products here. Okay. So for example, the vape pen with flavor. Okay. So let's say that, the vape pen right now costs $9.99. All right, and it's going to calculate how much it costs with taxes. But let's suppose that you want to have all round numbers. You want to make sure that all your products with taxes are a round number. You can actually set the price here, and the system will automatically calculate what that price would be pre-tax. So this way, if you don't want to have to be giving coins out for cash purchases and things like that, you can do that there as well. I mentioned previously, you can make the item tax exempt, or you can make it discount or upcharge exempt as well. If you want the system to calculate your profit and gross margin, then you just input your average cost on there to do it for you. This, you've got different ways of keeping inventory. We saw the way to do it with the attribute. You can actually keep track of inventory by the item itself. Set whatever your inventory is here, and then the low inventory threshold, or you could not track inventory if you wanted to as well. This is where you would convert an item into a modifier, or where you can add a modifier. Okay. Now we've done something with the modifiers. You can choose individual modifiers like the one I showed you for that would automatically be added to the product. Okay. You can also create groups of modifiers just to make it easier, especially if you've got the same modifiers that are added to various products in your inventory. Instead of having to add for each product, each modifier individually, you can just create a group of modifiers and then just add them on here. So if you got 10 different kinds of burgers and they all have the same initial or basic toppings, you can put it as a group and then add it later on. All right. Now the systems, again, all of them, with the exception maybe of the A787 that I'm utilizing, come with a printer. They all have a built-in printer, but you can also utilize network printers. Any printer that utilizes Epson printing protocols will function. Okay. And they are, again, I'll emphasize it, network printers, meaning that they have to be attached to your network device, be that a router, a switch, whatever other network device you've got. All right. Now, these network printers are assigned to each product individually. So you may have products that show up in one printer and products that don't show up on that printer or show up on a different. Okay, you would choose here which printers you want to add to the product, and you can add multiple printers as well. Okay, you can have a restricted age, like a policy for the whole store. Everything that's restricted age, your minimum customer and your minimum employee age restrictions. In this case, for this store, I've got 21 and over. But if you have a product that maybe has a lower age requirement or higher or a different age requirement, you can change it individually as well, the individual product level. Okay. You can add a picture, and this is only the operator's the one who's going to see the picture, okay? And this is where you got the attributes and the breakdown that I showed you early on, all right? Now, when you use attributes, it's really important that you have like the main attribute, like size and or nicotine level, has to be created here on the product attributes. And then you're going to add the actual values, okay, which in this case would be 2 ounce and 4 ounce, and in this case it would be low, medium, and high, because that's what's going to give you the options to add the different combinations. See, like right now I've only got one combination of a 2 ounce with a low level nicotine, but I can add another one too. I can say, all right, the size is going to be 2 ounce. It's also going to be, medium. I've got 25 of those. I have a barcode, or I don't have a barcode if you have it. The price is going to be, I don't know, $12.99, and notify me if I've got less than 3. Okay, so I've just added another combination of attributes to this product. Okay, one of them has a barcode, the other one does not. And I showed you what that looks like when you bring it up automatically. All right. So that's with regards to products. You can do the same thing on the terminal. You go ahead and just start logging in. You can do the same thing on the terminal. All right. Look a little bit different. But you can add your products on here, modify, do your breakdowns, your modifiers, everything exactly the same way that you would do it on the terminal. So on the web portal. So it's not a requirement to do it on the web portal. Go ahead and zoom in here. So if you want to do that on the terminal and get out of here and avoid all this stuff, you're going to go to inventory and then just products. Okay. And you add your product here, or you can, do a search. Again, your screen may look a little bit differently than mine. Let me go ahead and just do a search for, let's take a look at beverages. All right. All right, so we're gonna take a look at the Pepsi bottle, so you can see, that one item that's been added, right, on the Pepsi bottle here. So you got Pepsi bottle, and then you've got your bottle deposit at the bottom of 5 cents here. Let me move this out of the way. Oh, okay. There we go. So this is the modifier on here, okay? But it's kind of the same thing. You got all the same different information. Your tax category, your category, so forth. If you need to use breakdown, you've got availability for breakdown. If you need to use attributes as well, okay? So everything that you got on the web portal, you can also do from here, okay? All right, so let's move on to categories. With categories, again, really important component of your catalog, because it allows you to organize your sales screen in a manner that it'll be easier to access your products, right? What we did with categories, something a little unique, okay? Because when you create a category in our system, you have an option for that category to function in 3 different areas, okay? Could be only one of the 3, 2 of the 3, or all 3 of them, right? The first area is for it to display on the sales menu. So not all categories have to be displayed on the sales menu, all right? The second area is for it to be displayed under manual entry. So there's a function on the system where you can enter products manually, products that are not in inventory maybe, or you don't want to add to inventory, but you can still categorize those products so that at the time of pulling your sales reports, you can, view them by category, and even your manual entries will count. And then the third option is if you want to use it for pay in and pay out, things like lotteries, maybe things like your cash in, cash out for the day, different things like that. Maybe your tips. You want to make sure that you're using payout when if you're giving your employees tips in cash, things like that. So again, you can choose 1, 2, or all 3 of them whenever you're creating that. Also, you can create a category and automatically assign it to have restricted age verification. Remember what I mentioned before, and they also show you the products down here, but you want to assign the products manually. All right, that's categories. Now, we created a second section that also includes categories for your refund reasons. Now, in our system, whenever you're going to do a refund, it's going to prompt you whether you want to add that item back into inventory or not, okay? And then you can choose the reason why this is being refunded and keep track of your returns as far as, what's the prevalence as far as items being returned, okay? Here's where you got your modifier groups. Okay, so This is where you would, again, if you've got a group of modifiers that are common among multiple products in your inventory, it'd be a good idea to create them in a group and then just assign those individually. It just makes it a lot easier. So you can see the contents of each one of the groups, which are the modifiers that are added in them. And then you've got your attributes, which is your, your main attribute, like size, nicotine, flavor, or flavors and things like that. But again, the values and the combinations of those values, you're going to assign individually. Okay. Now, there may be times where you can assign those values at the attribute level. Okay. That's when the values are the same. And what I mean by that is, if, for example, you're looking at clothing and your sizes are always going to be small, medium, large, and extra large, then you can actually create those values here. Okay. And then, for each individual clothes that you add this attribute, it'll automatically have those values added to the attribute. And you just have to choose now the combination, the color and the size, blue, medium, black, large, and so forth. All right. Okay. So that's the catalog. A couple of just other things that I want to mention on here before we go back to the terminal. Let me see, where are we on the terminal? Okay, it still hasn't logged me out. Oh, almost. Okay. Couple more things I want to mention on here. If you are going to use the templates to upload, we do have a template for categories as well. Okay. We also have a template for your modifier groups, and we have even a template for your product attributes in case you want to use these templates. Now, the order that you upload these templates is really important. Okay. You want to make sure that you upload your categories first, always. All right. If you're going to be using modifier groups, you have to then upload your modifier separate here on the products. From your products, you have to upload your modifiers first and then do your modifier groups and then your attributes. And then the last thing you upload is your products themselves. If you try to upload your products with categories that are not on the system, with modifier groups or attributes that are not on the system, it's going to upload telling you, hey, these items are not uploaded because there are categories or modifiers or attributes that weren't mentioned. Okay. So make sure that you upload in that order. And you do have the instructions in the user guide if you need that to do that. All right. Changing over to the terminal, I just want to show you the same thing I just did. You saw it on products. If you go to categories, you have the same options here. Okay, where you can choose, what kind of a category it is. Sales menu, pay in, pay out, manual entry. Pretty much the same thing that you have over there. Same thing if you, for your attributes and your modifier groups. Okay, you can add them here. Okay. And you could add the values here, just the same that I just showed you on the web portal. And again, you would only do it in a circumstance where the attribute values are similar across the board, or at least with a significant number of products in your inventory. Okay. This is where you got your modifier groups, just the same. Again, this is a smaller screen, so it displays a lot less than what you would probably see in your countertop terminal. Okay. All right. So up next, want to talk a little bit about your payment methods. Okay, a couple of things about payment methods. If you're going to receive checks or EBT, you first need to activate your checks and EBT acceptance here under configuration settings. This needs to be done on the web portal. Right. You're going to find your store name here. You're going to go to edit, and you're going to make sure that you put these two check marks here. Sorry, for EBT and checks. Right. You want to make sure you do those two, you save that. It's the first thing you want to do. That's the first step for payment settings. The second step is you're going to go to the POS. You're going to go to POS configuration, and then you're going to go to payment method here. Okay. And here is where you're actually going to go in, and let's see, this is where you're going to edit it, and you're going to make it active. Okay. You have to make each one of the payment methods that you want to utilize, you want to make sure that they're active. Okay. So your credit, you want to make sure it's active. Same thing with your debit and so forth. Okay. You can even create unique forms of payments. What I mean by that, maybe forms of payments that you take that aren't necessarily processed through the POS and the payment terminal, but you still accept these. A good example is, you know, fintechs like Cash App or Venmo. Maybe you do accept Cash App and Venmo at your store, but you're going to process those through your phone, your whatever device you're using with the app. But you can still register that purchase as having been paid through that method, so that when you're looking at your reporting at the end of the month, your sales reports, you're trying to reconcile your finances, you will be able to pull the report of all transactions that were paid by that method, and then compare it to whatever your device and app provide you in terms of ability to reconcile at the end of the month. All right, so it does allow you to do that. Very easy to do. You just click on add new, put whatever name you want there. You can even put a picture, so that it's a lot easier whenever the operator is pulling up that that form of payment. All right, you can do form of payments on the terminal as well. You go to settings, but you're not going to be able to add anything that's not already been configured on the back end, right? So you go to pay method. Now what you can do is you can disable maybe something for this terminal. If you don't want to take a form of payment for this specific terminal, you can disable on here. Okay. And then of course, if your cash discount has been activated, you can actually, deactivate it and choose what form of input price you want as your default. Okay. All right. So that's your payment methods. We talked before about your customer database. Some of you may not be using that customer database, all right? But I always encourage you to take a look at it, because there's two things that are built into that database. One of them is the loyalty points. So it's got a loyalty program based on points that you can utilize. You can leverage that to create more consumption on the part of your customers, right? The second thing is the ability to provide store credit, which is, again, a really good feature for things like layaway. Maybe if for your returns, you don't want to, give the money back, but instead you give store credit, you can use your store credit function to do that with a customer database, all right? But what I wanted to show you there was regarding the loyalty program. Going back to the store, we're going to go back to the bottom here where I showed you under configuration and settings, and you're going to go to store settings, same location where I showed you about EBT checks, but you're going to go to loyalty here. So here you get to choose what the ratio is going to be between loyalty points generated when a customer makes a purchase and loyalty points required when a customer wants to redeem a purchase. Okay, so in this example, I have it set to 10-1. So every 10 cents will generate one loyalty point, and every loyalty point is worth just 1 penny. All right, we are going to be adding something to this in the next couple of months. It's going to be on the roadmap, which we'll make public within the next couple of weeks, I believe. But we are going to be adding a minimum level of points before a customer can start redeeming. Okay, just so you're aware of that. Be on the lookout for that change. All right. So again, you have to, of course, activate loyalty under your payment methods to make sure that you can accept that. Okay. Like in this case, I've got it activated here. You can see loyalty is already active. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about gift cards. So our system comes with an in-house gift card built in, and that's going to be, again, under POS and gift cards here. Okay. Now with our gift cards, you can actually create two types of gift cards. You can create a virtual gift card or a physical gift card. Okay. Normally we'll assign a PIN code to your store, and then the gift card number can be created or generated at random. If you wanted to print out plastic cards, say with your logo on there, and then the barcode and print it, because again, our gift card program does not work with MagStripes, it works with barcodes. We can provide you with a file, maybe 1,000, 2,000 numbers, and then you can have as many as you want printed, and you can activate, a limited number. You can activate 5, 10, 20 that you have at the store, and then when people get them is when you actually load the value on. So that's also a possibility. Okay. And again, I'll just reiterate, this is already included in your in your POS. There's no additional cost unless you want to have those gift cards printed, as I mentioned, little plastic ones, maybe with your logo, things like that. So I wanted to mention that on the POS itself, whenever you're gonna redeem a gift card, I mean, you got your gift card controls right here. This is where you would actually, scan your gift card code and then you add the value to it, okay? And then when you're gonna ring it up is when you actually pull the gift card, okay? Let's talk a little bit about pay in, pay out. I mentioned it briefly previously, right? Where you can create categories for pay in, pay out. So in the case of this, the store that I've got on here, these are all the categories that I've created for pay in, pay out. This is a convenience store, a fictional convenience store. So I assume that they have to pay out lottery every once in a while. So that's why I created the lottery payouts. But maybe the bottle deposit, they also have to pay them out, or the tips at the end of the day, or the cash drawer. How much cash you take in at the beginning of the day, how much cash you're going to pay back. So if I wanted to pay out, on the lottery side, choose my lottery, paste the amount here. I can even put any notes if I wanted to on here. John, whatever you want on there. Okay, and then you say that, and you're pretty much ready to go. All right, so it's gonna register that as a transaction for pay in and pay out. And then you can actually look at your, your pay in, pay out on here. Oh, shoot, cancel that, so it does not log me out. You got your pay in, pay out here, you can look at then, for the store. Okay. So this is the one that I just did right now, $5. You'll be able to see that your pay in, pay out on here. Okay. All right, last thing I want to mention here before we move on to another section for your initial configuration is your cloud synchronization. Right, so whenever you run a transaction on the POS, of course, the transaction is automatically sent to the cloud. But there's other types of information that are not automatically or immediately sent to the cloud. Maybe changes that you make to the system in terms of inventory, maybe pricing, maybe you've added somebody new, data that goes beyond your purchase data, okay? Number of items and all that stuff, that's part of the actual purchase data. So that synchronization does not take place immediately all the time when you make these changes. And I'm going to show you where you could modify the settings, okay? The fastest you can make it synchronize is every 5 minutes, that kind of data. Now you can manually synchronize, of course, if you make a change and you critical that it's sent out either to the back end, or if you have multiple terminals at the same location, then of course you can go in and synchronize manually. But the settings are here. You go to settings, you go to cloud. Okay, there's two things on here I want to mention. One of them is, how fast is this going to synchronize that big bulk of data that I mentioned beyond the transaction information, beyond the transaction data. So the fastest you can do is 5 minutes. And this was built in mostly because if you use a metered connection, then you may not want it to be, synchronizing all the time. It'll raise costs or whatever. I know nowadays it doesn't apply that much, but we still do it every 5 minutes so it doesn't bog down your system either, okay? The other component is for you to be alerted, how often or when was the last time that it was synchronized, okay? Right now it's set for 1 hour. So what happens is if I'm not synchronized within the last hour, instead of having this little blue cloud with a check mark, it would be a little red cloud with an X, okay? So that's what you're actually configuring here. So if it doesn't synchronize at least in the last hour for what I've got set, then that little cloud is going to turn over to red with an X on there. And you can increase if you want, the duration instead of alerting you every 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever that may be, okay? So that's really the last component when it comes to the settings. Maybe one last thing that I want to mention. This is something that I actually learned about this week. You go to POS configuration under POS and POS settings. This also has some settings that if you've got multiple terminals, you can control from here, okay? For example, how many refund copies, things like require a signature on a anything that you set on here will apply to all the terminals. Add tips at the end of the day, use customer display, remember all this stuff that I showed you? All of that will apply to all the terminals. Okay, enable cash discount, enable cash back, and so forth. So another configuration component, which again, I hadn't even seen it prior to that today. All right. Let's talk a little bit then about discounts and pricing. First one that I want to talk about is a component that's only on the actual terminal, okay? And we're probably gonna be taking a break pretty soon. But let me start off with this first one on here. And this has to do with pricing. It's gonna be under your maintenance function here. And it's again, it's only on the terminals. This is not on the back end, all right? You won't be able to find it on the web portal. And that is the global price change. So this is a tool that allows you to change pricing for your inventory, and it allows you to do it at 3 different levels. You could do it for the whole inventory, for a specific category, or if you want specific items within your inventory, within a category. Once you choose, what level you want to change pricing, then you can choose various ways in which to actually change the pricing. One of them is adjusting the price by either setting the dollar price, not the dollar increase or decrease, but the actual price of the item, or you can increase or decrease by percentage. We will be adding the ability to add a dollar increase, and this is going to be a really good feature because I know that there's some merchants out there that will maybe do, I don't know, happy hour, and I'm not talking about a bar necessarily, but maybe you have a party supply store and you bring some clowns and you want to cover their expense, so maybe you raise everything by $1. So we're going to be adding that feature pretty soon as well. All right. The second option to adjust your pricing could be by either adjusting the profit or the gross margin percentage wise. Or the third option would be to round the price either up or down to 0.95, 0.99, or 0.00. So again, really good function when it comes to changing pricing, because it gives you flexibility as far as what level you want to change the price and how you want to change that price. Okay. Let's do the next one. The next item is called special pricing. Now this one is on both the back end and on the terminal. Let's first show you here on the back end. Right, this is going to be under your POS here, right underneath customer. You got special pricing. Okay, this is how you would conduct a sale. You have 3 ways in which you can conduct a sale with our system. The first one is your standard sale. Right, pricing method sale is start date, end date. You can do either the sales price or the percentage off. Okay, and you can choose your items here. Now, our system does not support mix and match, so this has to be for the same items you put on here. Okay, it's a little easier to maybe do it here than it is on the terminal. And let me show you why. Okay, on the terminal, you go to, again, special, and we're gonna choose what item we want to add. Okay, I'm gonna choose the whole category. Choose candy. Okay. The problem here is that I can only choose one item at a time. Okay. So now I can configure for that one item. But on the back end, I can go here and I can say, all right, let's look for candy. Oh, and I can just add all the items all at once. And again, the discount's going to apply to the stickers or the Reese's and so forth, right? So I like doing that on the back office a little bit better because of that. Right. So that's the first type of sale. The second one is what would be a bulk sale. Okay, wholesale. You buy 10, I'll give you 10% off, or I'll drop it, to $1.99. Okay. So same thing, you can pick your products here. Same thing on the handheld, bulk pricing, same thing on here. We're about to add a reset function that's coming, I'd probably say first week of February. So this is going to allow you to do the buy one get one free, and then reset the price on the third one to your regular price. Okay. Same thing on here. It'll have a reset button as well. And then the third one option is your regular weekly sale. You can choose a day of the week for the item. Okay. Same thing on here. And what happens is this is going to be a sale that happens every week. It's going to be ongoing as long as the item is on sale on here, as long as that configuration is on the system. All right. So good example is for this convenience store, I actually have milk on sale every Thursday because on Fridays I receive. Okay. All right. So 3 ways in which you can conduct a sale. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. All right, for the time being. And we're gonna go ahead and take that, that 5-minute break. So I've got 1:58. You can come back, 2:03, 2:05. I appreciate that. All right. Ready? Got 2 or 3 here on the dot. Maybe give you guys a couple more seconds here. Maybe another 30 seconds, we'll get started, right? All right, everybody, welcome back. Let's go ahead and continue on here. So we were looking at discount and pricing. We looked at the special pricing, the 3 types of sale. You know, and I did mention that we don't do mix and match. Oh, excuse me. And you know, that's where you have maybe all your lace products. If you buy 2, you'll get a 50% discount. We're gonna be adding that. It's a tough module, to be honest with you. So it's gonna take us a few months. We're looking more towards, like, we thought maybe we'd be able to do it beginning of the year, but it's gonna be more towards the middle of the year, okay? All right, so the next discount item I want to mention is what's known as the price level, right? Of course, it locked me out. With price level, this is what you would use to provide discounts for groups, like, let's say, veterans, first responders, teachers, and things like that. Yeah, here. Okay. Shut that down. All right. And you're gonna actually find that here, price level. Okay, and also on here. Now, for somebody to take advantage of this discount, okay, this is all, again, still under maintenance, right? For somebody to take advantage of this discount, they have to be registered in your customer database. Our system allows you to register them at the time of checkout. It only requires a first name. And again, you can do all products, category, specific product. You can even do a dollar range for that discount, okay? And then again, you'd see it on here, just kind of the same. Edit, you can choose, you know, which items you want and so forth, right? All right. Next item here, and this has to do with, of course, pricing, is your cash discount or your upcharge. This is, you know, feature, depends on your reseller, on your processor. Some may allow certain types of a way to pass on your fees, some others. So you have to make sure that, you know, that you're able to do it in that way. So the system offers you 2 options, okay? It's either going to be a cash discount, where when somebody pays cash, you discount whatever percentage, or an upcharge or surcharge, okay? Now, I showed you on the actual terminal, right? Now, log out. In the actual terminal, if you go to settings and you go to pay method, it'll display on there for the cash discount. For the upcharge, it does not have the option for you to disable it. That's something that's going to be built in. The upcharge does have a limit as far as how much you charge, and then the ability to put on the receipt whatever you term you want to refer to that charge, okay? With the discount, it allows you to choose which is your default entry price, your product price, whether it's going to be your cash or your credit. You get to choose which one of the 2. All right. It's and the reason for this is because, you know, calculating the credit price is a little bit tricky. It's not, you know, you're going to give a 5% discount, you just add 5%. No, it's a little bit trickier than that, because if it's something that costs, you know, $100 and you add 5%, then 5% of 105 is not, you know, $5. It's a little more. So our system will do the calculation for you. All right. All right. So that's with regards to pricing. Let's talk a little bit about customers and how you can manage their data. So again, if you go under customer maintenance here, you've got your main customers are located on the web portal. This is the list of customers. There's a template you can use if you have an existing list of customers as well. We can bring that in. And then this is where you would track not only their, you know, their personal information. Okay, so on the terminal, you'll see that you can even take a picture if you wanted to of the customer. You go to customer here, and you look at one of the customers on here. You just show you a profile. This same testing guy. I can actually go down here and take a picture with my terminal. Okay. This is where you would add it if they have any kind of price level discounting. Okay. Now the system does not have the ability for you to email them or alert you in any way. Let's say if it's their birthday, but you can export your whole database in Excel. And then you can create, with Excel and other Microsoft programs, you can create calendars, you can create mail merges, so it'll send out emails and things like that. So it has that compatibility that you can utilize to take advantage of that. All right. You can also view their loyalty activity. And again, you can't communicate with them, but you can give points if you wanted to. Say you want to give them another 200 points to make it a little bit rounder there. Oh, not 1200, 200. You do that here and it'll adjust. Okay. Same thing for, the credit account. You can see what they've done in terms of charging to the account and repayments and things like that. That's where you would do it here. If you go to the POS, then you go to the account tab, same thing. You can see, what they've got available in credit, what they owe, what their limit is. You can look at the transaction history here. Sale, repayment. For the loyalty, same thing. You can look at their transaction history here. I just adjusted 200 points. It has it on there. Okay. All right. So that's how you can manage your customer data. Again, we can't store any type of payment information within the POS because that would violate certain rules, certain compliance requirements from the credit card industry. That's why we can only offer you storing their personal data. And we don't offer, like recurring payments or anything like that right now because of that same reason. Okay. All right. So last section I want to go over before we go into the actual sales screen, kind of take you home with that, is regarding reporting. So you got reports that are here on the terminal. These reports are going to pertain only to the transactions that were run on that terminal. Okay. So, if you've got multiple terminals, you're not going to be able to see any transactions on here that belong to another terminal. Under reporting, you can do it in the sales screen in case you want to bring up a pending transaction and you want to, ring them up. Perfect. But as far as reporting is concerned, this only pertains to transactions right here. You got, again, your details or transaction reports, inventory sales reports. I mean, everything, and you can actually do do search by date. I mean, you've got a lot of little different queries you can do on here as far as looking at the reporting. Okay. Now, on the web portals, where you probably have the more extensive reporting features, right? So first of all, you got some reports that are pre-established, like your bestsellers. And this will allow you to at least, search by a date range what your bestsellers are. Right now, it'll drop down by your total dollar amount sales, but we're adding another feature where you can look by total unit quantity. Okay, so you'll be able to put at the top both your bestsellers by dollar amount and your bestsellers by unit sales. Right. Another pre-established product is your product never served, never purchased report, and again you can look by a day range on here. Okay. And then of course you've got your low stock report, which will automatically be populated. Right. I think I showed you the Budweiser case by only had 0. All right. But the bulk of your reports are here on the transactions. This is really a kind of a dashboard, your transactions dashboard, because it allows you to select what you want to look at, right? So it allows you to select the day range, just like the other ones, but it also allows you to choose by terminal. Oh, sorry, did not need to do that. It also allows you to choose by terminal, for example, by category, even payment method. Okay. So let's take a look here. This is just the last couple of weeks. I've run 4 transactions for this total amount. I can look at the transactions. If they're done under a customer profile, it'll list the customer's profile here. I can even look at the receipt. Our system does support email receipts, right? And we email a PDF file. So I can even take a look at the receipt for that transaction. And that's like instantly uploaded to the cloud. All right. So you saw how you can configure your receipt. So this is what the final product looks like here. All right. You can look at the products as well. Any discounts that were given. Okay. And you can look at the payment information. Now you'll notice that this transaction has 3 forms of payment. So yes, our system does support multiple tenders. It doesn't do the calculation. You got to calculate that yourself. But you know, if you want to pay for a single item with 3 different credit cards, no problem. The system will actually support that as well. All right. So again, this is kind of where you choose what report you want to pull. But the actual reports are up here. You have your Excel and your PDF reports here, right? And you've got transactions, payments, categories, customer, employees, tax, and tips. Each one comes in a detailed and a total version. And you've got the same reports here in case you want to request that cannot be modified. All right, so what you do is you click on which report you want to see. All right, and it's going to be reflected here in this section where it says import export. All right, and let me go ahead and pull a couple of reports here just so you can view. So we'll do 151 to 115 search. So we did the details. Let's do the totals report, and then let's do the PDF totals report as well, just so you can see at least one form of report what the differences are. And you know, we moved this recently to this segment simply so you view the same report multiple times a day. You just download it at the beginning of the day; it'll stay on there. All right. All right. So let's take a look at the transaction detail report. Okay. Now, by the way, our reports data doesn't really expire. Remember, this data is stored also locally on your terminals, all right? But the thing is that you can only view 3 months at a time. It takes a really lot of resources to try to look beyond that. So because it's Excel, you can obviously, if you download first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, there's a way for you to create a formula and look at your annual totals, right? But that's the way that it works. So for the transaction totals report or details report, again, you'll see all the items that are purchased on here. Okay. If you want to see something that's a bit more summarized, you just go here, go back here. If you want something a little bit more summarized, you would look at the transaction totals report. This doesn't have any product information, but it does have all the financials. Total sales, taxes, discounts, and then your total sales at the bottom here. Okay. And the same version of the file, but in PDF format. So that again, it cannot be modified, but it has all the same data as well. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it in terms of reporting. Now we're going to go ahead and go to the sales screen. We're going to switch over to the POS itself. Open up our sales screen here. Again, remember, on your countertop unit, you're going to have this screen on the right-hand side and this screen on the left-hand side, which is your shopping cart. You're going to have the same functions across the top. You're going to have more buttons, obviously, so you won't have to scroll that much. Okay. So first thing is, we've already looked at a couple of things in terms of how you can make your menu to be a little bit easier to navigate, right? By, for example, only inputting the main item here and then your combinations on the attribute level. Showed you also how you can add items automatically. Showed you with the hot dog, for example. Also with the Pepsi bottle. Okay. It could also, and I also showed you it, well, it's not on the tires yet, but will be. For the tire that adds the $15 balancing fee as well. All right, and then also showed you, of course, on the breakdown side how you can manage that with alcohol. Showed you with the 6-pack, the Budweiser beer, or the case, the 6-pack, and the individual ones are treated as separate products, but you can actually break down from a 6-pack to individuals and so forth. Right? Okay, so what I want to show you here is across the top. Now, if you're going to be using a scanner and you scan an item that's not in inventory, okay, let me show you what that looks like here. Where is it? On registry here, right? What's going to happen is that you're going to get the screen. Can't find any product, but you want to add product quickly. So this would allow you to actually add the product to inventory, okay? You can also just tap on the inventory button here, and you can query it for an item. Let's say that, I want to find this item. Well, no, I want to find this item. Let's do an easier item. Hey, let's do the Snickers bar. But I don't want to have to input the whole barcode there, right? So 5707 are the last four. I can actually type in here 5707 and any 5707. So any item that has that number, shoot, but it could. No, sorry, no, not on the. I thought I could on the barcode. Let me reset this. No, actually, I can only do it on the item, and I apologize. I thought the barcode also took incomplete numbers, but of course, then it would have a tough time at displaying that. But you can do it on the item side. So, for example, if I want to look up for a hot dog, I don't have to type in the whole word hot dog. I can just type in dog, and any product that has the word dog in it will come up, and then I can choose that product. Okay, and this is kind of same thing you saw earlier. All right, you can also add items. You go to inventory, and just add product quickly. You can also add an item there on the fly. Okay. Second section is for customers, right? So you can add a customer here if they want to receive the veterans discount. Just tap on that customer button and then add customer quickly. Like I said before, it only requires a first name. Or you can look for a customer. All right. So I know here it does work. The last four digits of the phone number are part of their name. So for example, I can look up this testing guide by just typing ING, and it'll look up any customer that has that string of characters in their name will come up. All right. Now, once I actually pull up a customer's profile, move this thing out of the way, you're going to see the customer's information here, and it's going to display that if they do receive any type of a discount. Okay. All right. Next thing is add order. So we are going to be adding the delivery services, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub within the next, hopefully beginning of January or February, we'll have that ready to go. But in the meantime, you can select, if you want to, a type of sale in terms of, is it going to be, delivery, pickup, dine-in, takeout. Let me show you that here. And if you do, like, let's say you choose delivery, it actually will include the customer's address in that ticket. Okay, so if you're going to do like your own delivery services and things like that, you'll be able to do that here. So give me 1 second. Also choosing the or making that order pickup or takeout, things like that. It allows you to print the receipt without you collecting payment, right? So let's see here. So let's say for dine-in, you can actually take the receipt then to the table, the printer receipt to the table, right? When I choose add order here. Okay. If I choose dine-in, okay, the customer and so forth, continue to sell, and then I can actually print the receipt if I wanted to without taking payment for it. All right. Of course, this is used to clear your shopping cart here. Okay. Now, I mentioned before that the transactions that you see for the reports that are on each terminal pertain only to transactions that are run on that terminal. But because our POS is cloud connected, you can start a transaction terminal and finish it in another. And this is where you would look up the transactions under the search order button here. Okay. It's gonna, by default, pull up any transactions that were done on this terminal. But if you want to, in the last couple of days, but if you want to, look at more transactions, then you go to filter, and then you can choose, a broader date range here. Right. So I'll go ahead and I'll go to September. Okay. And I can even choose maybe items that have not been paid. So I can pull up pending transaction. Okay. In this case, I've got 6 items that haven't been paid. So I can pull one of those up as well. All right. All right. I'm going to keep going here. Held order. So if somebody comes up to the cash register and they don't have a wallet, you can actually, and you've already started bringing them up, you can actually hold the order, put their name on there. It's going to clear off the shopping cart, get ready for the next customer, and then when they come back, you can recall it under held orders as well. All right. The discount, percentage of discount here, you can provide a discount either by percentage or by dollar amount to the whole shopping cart. You can also do it for an individual item. Okay, so for example, I go to candy here, and I can give you 50% on the first Snickers bar. So I just added 1 Snickers bar to this shopping cart, right? Now I give you a discount on that bar. It can also be by percentage or by dollar amount. Okay, I'll give you 50% off. Whoop. I'm gonna go back to my sales screen. I'm gonna add 2 more Snickers bars. And now, as you can see, I don't have any type of a discount on the second and the third. And it even segregates them to separate lines so you can see clearly where you get a discount for an individual item. Okay, separate from the rest of the items as well. Right. Okay. The next item over is the category screen, right? So this allows you to do a manual entry and you can choose a category. The nice thing here is that you don't even have to put the product name in there. Let's say that, again, you get some drinks that you don't want to add to inventory, but you want to make sure that when you sell them, you're registering them. You can just type beverages, put the price in there. You go to the shopping cart and it's going to use beverages as the name of the product. Now you can put, if you want to, you can actually put the name. Okay, I can say beverages and say Yoo-hoo, right? And then say it's going to be $1.99, and it's actually going to say Yoo-hoo on there. Okay, Yoo-hoo. So you can do it either way. All right, but it's a really good feature, and I mentioned before that these categories can be manually configured, where you can have all the same categories that are on your sales screen, or maybe you can have unique categories for your manual entry as well. All right, a couple more functions that I want to show you here across the top. All right, so you can have vendor coupons. Manual entry, we're going to be removing that. It's the same thing as a category entry. We're going to actually have the button. This button is going to look the same thing in the front. This is where you can print an item. You can run a refund for an item. Okay, open your cash drawer without running a transaction. Make a whole transaction tax exempt if you want, or you can lock the screen as well. All right, so those are the functions themselves. Let's go back to the main screen here. Okay, go back to the main menu. All right, so I've got some items on my shopping cart here. A couple of things I want to mention as well. If you do have, let's say, a separate printer, and let's say that I do order a hot dog, right? You saw this before. I'm going to add relish. I'm going to add chili, hold the ketchup, right? And I go to the shopping cart. What's going to print in that printer is going to be this whole section here. Okay, none of the pricing stuff is going to print. And again, I don't have the printer set for any of the other items, so only these items are the ones that are going to print. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at payments. Remember, I'm under a customer's profile. So when I choose payments, okay, it's going to bring me up all the options for payments. Okay, if I go to the bottom, you can see that I actually have the unique payment forms of Venmo and Cash App and credit card temporary. Okay, so I can choose any of these as a form of payment as well. If I am going to choose loyalty, then it should be displaying the customer's loyalty information, their balance that they have, what they can use in terms of points. All right. If I'm going to use their credit account, same thing. It should show me, what their outstanding balance is and if they have any balance, any credit balance available. Okay, to be able to charge. Okay. Now, EBT, if there are items on the shopping cart which I can pay through EBT, then they'll give me the options on here. Okay. And again, that you can do, your multiple tenders on here. If I'm going to use a local gift card, which is the one that's built into the program, you will scan the gift card code here, and you put whatever amount you want to, and it'll show you the balance of the gift card once you scan it. Okay. So for example, let's see if I have, logged me out already. Let me go ahead and log in and then use one of those gift cards here real quick, so you can see what that looks like on here. All right, log in. Got the gift card here. Sure doesn't kick me out. No. Okay. Oh, no, it's this one. POS and the gift cards. And let me look at one of the gift cards. It's got a balance on there. So remaining amount, let's use this one here. I'm going to view this gift card. I'm going to go ahead and scan then the gift card here. Okay, wait, scan the gift card. Okay, so I've got the gift card. I'm going to look it up. It shows me that I've got a balance of $100, right? Which is what I've got. Well, what I've got on here. That's so I don't close it out, right? I've got a balance. Initially it was $250, but right now I've got a balance of $100. All right, so I can actually pay part of it, or I can pay all of it if I want. I can pay $5 if I want. Say, so I'll pay $5, right? And then I'll go ahead and I'll use my credit account to pay another $5. And then the rest I'm gonna go ahead and pay in cash. Okay. Now I'm under the customer's profile again. I'm not gonna, the email is gonna automatically, have the customer's email address there, but I can modify it if I needed to. And then send it out. And then I can take a look at this receipt immediately here on the store portal. If I go to the report and I go to the transactions dashboard, I should see that transaction. Am I on the right store here? Seller's transactions. I apologize. That should be here. It's send that I did. Okay. I don't see the transaction here. Should have automatically synchronized when I made the payment here, so I apologize. Oh. Well, I apologize. Something always happens right when you're going to take a look at this. Let me make sure I've got the transaction here on the POS itself. Let me switch back so you can see the screen here. Looking at the report, look at the transaction details. Yeah, 1:28 p.m. Let's see the items, Snickers bar. Okay, it would be the brief print, but again, it should have automatically sent the transaction here. Everybody, I apologize. I don't know what happened. Make sure I'm looking at the right store. It's happened to me before because I'm looking at the wrong store. Oh, I got a timeout on my end. Okay, so it looks like I may have an internet connectivity issue here. But normally you'll see on the receipt then, that transaction that we just saw. Show them logging the store here. Okay, and it's gonna display all three forms of the payment we just saw as well. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got an issue here with the internet, so I can't see that. All right, so with that, pretty much that's the kind of the end of the presentation or the training. So let's take a look if we have any questions or comments on here. Let's take a look. All right. Yeah, I don't see any open questions or anything like that. If you do have any questions, and I'll give you a couple of minutes here. Please feel free to open up your Q&A section there and input any questions you may have. All right, I don't see anybody typing anything in. Thank you again for taking the time, Cesar Rivas. You got my email address here at the bottom in case you have any questions, any comments about the presentation. If you need any of the material that I mentioned, the user guide for the POS, the user guide for the web portal, or access to the Sound Payments YouTube channel, which again, it's just Sound Payments at the YouTube. Please let me know. All right, so again, thank you everybody for joining. Have a great rest of the day.